Da-da-da-da-da! Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to season 1, episode 22 of The Hate Napkin. That's right. Hey, folks, I'm your co-host, Arik Bjorn, here in Columbia, South Carolina, the armpit of the devil's asshole. And I am joined today. Oh, everybody's doing masking? Okay, so I'm joined today by Carol. Carla.
What?
Carla. She's the super guest star from
Burnt Korn, Alabama.
Burnt Korn, Alabama. And welcome, Carla, to the special Omicron episode of The Hate Napkin.
That's right. It's Omicron Tuesday.
Have you got an email for us? Is there anybody out there listening to us sharing the hate?
There actually is. I got a lovely letter from a gentleman named Stephen.
Oh.
And it reads, Dear Hate Napkin, I'm just an average Joe. It's Kevin. Sorry, not Stephen. Oops. A Kevin actually, but you know what I mean. I'm not one of those people who thinks much about the police because I don't break the law and shit. But the cops really pissed me off this week. There's a strip of pavement from the edge of town to my house where the speed limit changes 3 times within a quarter mile. I live here. I'm well aware of it, but we're human. And sometimes we get distracted with thoughts of the holidays and what I'm getting home for Christmas. I lost track of what I was doing, but still, I was driving safely. The cops in my town have decided they have nothing better to do but to set up a speed trap in this quarter-mile stretch. And not once, but twice this week, I've been nailed for speeding. Once for 6 miles over the speed limit and once for 7 miles over the speed limit. So my Christmas gift to the city is $140 because they're hard up for cash. I guess I should consider giving it to the needy, but the timing of the holiday kind of sucks, and I'm guessing my insurance company will be happy to raise my rates because I'm a bloodthirsty speeder. So I hate speed traps and cops who can't cut anybody some slack. That's it. Signed, broke-ass Kevin from Bastrop, Texas.
Kevin's email, and number one, that's just awful. Your $140. Hopefully, it's in Texas, so it's not even gonna go to good socialism, right? I don't even know what they do with fines in Texas. They probably just, they spent on hookers and whatnot. And speaking of hookers and whatnot, let me tell this story. On my hate napkin tonight, thank you, Kevin, and this leads straight into that, is dating sites and police.
Wait a second. I wanted to talk about this speeding thing.
Okay.
I thought you had been entrapped by a speeder before. Thought you were going to talk about that.
Oh, yours no, I was seriously entrapped last night, and that's why. I don't
really have a story. I was going to talk about the Town of Ridgeland because I thought that was funny. Because
that is funny.
That was the ultimate, normally the police always win, right?
Right.
But I got basically the Town of Ridgeland took over I-95, and
this is in South Carolina. This is one of the most famous speed traps in history.
They're mailing tickets to everybody driving through town.
Yep.
And it's not in their jurisdiction. And by state law, there has to be a police officer on site, and they were just taking pictures and mailing them from this automated trailer where there were no cops in there. The only way to find
95% of people would just pay the fine without thinking.
Right. So with the old newspaper van, drove by.
Wait.
Out,
you gotta
took the exit.
This
got
is
back
a
on.
Stuccoed. Wait, people need to know that this is a bright yellow, banana yellow van with stucco.
Right. But my favorite part was was having an attorney on the phone and wailing on the side of the door of the police trailer. I'm like, there's nobody here. and then I fled the country. And then I checked. Well, I knew I was fleeing the country anyway, so I getting extra ridiculous. All the stories
I needed this so badly tonight.
So I checked. I went online to Town of Ridgeland to check the ticket because I'm like, there's going to be a warrant out for my arrest. Not showing up. They're going to really throw it at me. And it just says dismissed.
Right.
And then I talked to someone from the town. They're like, yeah, they didn't really want to deal with. They just just dismissed.
Here's the funny thing. Okay,
so
for those just
not
tuning
even
in,
showing up to court. Not even showing up.
for those just tuning in, Pauly, sound engineer, Pauly from Bali, and I have a past life in South Carolina as journalists. And basically, what Pauly is talking about is that one of the most famous speed traps in U.S. history is he's single-handedly responsible for busting it. He went berserko on the speed trap between Columbia and Jacksonville, Florida, right in the middle. It was an infamous speed trap, but Pauly went completely anarchical, crazy ass bullshit.
I remember it was Christmas time because I remember
it was a front page story in the newspaper.
I remember sending the Freedom of Information Act request to the mayor and to the sheriff, and
podunk. I mean, South Carolina is already an armpit, right? We're talking about the biggest podunk town in the whole state. I mean, it's just the middle of nowhere. It's one of those places that has like a bank, a McDonald's, and a Dairy Queen, and that's it. And he completely busted wide open the speed trap.
We're gonna cut all of this, but it's fine.
No, we're not gonna cut out this. This is important. This is major history. This is U.S. history.
That was so fun.
There's like Columbus, and then there was like the Constitutional Convention, and then Nixon, and then Pauly and Ridgeland. Okay. Here's my story. So, on my hate napkin tonight, I'm gonna put dating sites. Dating sites go on the hate napkin tonight, and especially for what just happened. So, as listeners are want to know, I'm a single dad, and I have been more or less single for 11 years. That's okay because I'm a single parent, and it's hard to have a dating relationship. I have to take care of a disabled adult. So it ain't easy, but I'm on this dating site and I find this interesting person, and she seems pretty and into me, and we've chatted a little bit, and she says, why don't you come over? And I work 7 nights a week, but I actually took a night off to do so. And I go over there and I get the address, and I'm like, it's a hotel. I'm like, okay, well, not what I expected to pull up to a hotel, but it's one of those places that's kind of like a weekly hotel. And I'm like, okay, so still, whatever. I mean, I'm here, I've taken the night off, I might as well go up and meet her and see what's going on. So I go up to the room, she lets me in. She is who she says she was. She is a beautiful woman. Her pictures represented her. There's another person in the room, a guy, who she introduces me to as her bunk mate. That's the word she uses, bunk mate.
He wanted to watch.
I'm like, whatever. I brought a bottle of Jameson with, everybody in here knows that I'm a recovering talk show host. But the drinks were not for me. At any rate, I bring the bottle of Jameson in. I sit in the corner, and now I'm kind of just curious more than anything. I'm just more or less curious. So there's a man in the room with her, and as I go to sit down, I realize there's a large circular tray on the bed with powder, white powder on it, with a credit card ostentatiously placed in the middle of it, which of course is, I'm supposed to be led to believe it's Coke, right? I mean, what I mean, unless somebody's putting baking soda in the middle of their bed next to a Visa card.
Maybe she was getting rid of the smell.
Yeah, exactly. She could have been aerating the place. She could have been. And she goes, do you want some Coke? And my first response was, no, I fucking hate cocaine. I'm impugned by the idea of cocaine. How anybody could compress 150 cups of coffee. How anybody could compress 150 cups of coffee into one granule of it's a pointless drug. So I said no. And the look on her face was, really? Did you just say no to free Coke? I'm like, yeah, I fucking hate cocaine. So I sit down. I pour her a shot. We're talking. I think she's a little shocked at this point. Number one, she expected me to snort the Coke. Number two, I'm like, hey, does your bunkmate want a drink? And she's like, yeah, don't pay attention to him. I'm like, well, is he thirsty? And he keeps going back and forth from the bathroom to the bed to the patio. And I mean, he's kind of like, something is amiss at the Circle K.
Okay, you're not supposed to pay attention to him. Was he a midget? Was he hard to miss?
Yes, he was a midget. Just for the sake of this story, he was a midget.
Thank God.
He was a black midget. What can I say? But that's actually a fact. So anyways, we're talking, and she's got these really beautiful tattoos. And I'm like, those are gorgeous tattoos. Where did you get those? And she said, I just got out of jail in April. I said, so you got your tattoos in jail? And she said, like, yeah. I'm like, oh, you must have been in jail for like the last 20 years. And she kind of pauses and goes, oh, yeah. And I'm like, what? She's absolutely covered in tattoos, but they're really beautiful tattoos. She's like, yeah, I got them. I'm an ex-con. And I'm thinking, oh, well, okay. So, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? So immediately the librarian, single parent kicks in, and I'm like, let's rehab this chick. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you, 28, 29, 30? You're not too old to go back to college. Let's get you in school. Let's get a program going for your life. Let's fix this thing.
Oh, right now she's telling the worst date ever story to her friends.
I was gonna say nothing says I want to jump you like he's trying to rehabilitate me.
Yeah, you're trying to get her wet, huh?
That might be the funniest line in the history of the show. So honestly, I'm not even kidding you. That is my prerogative. I mean, like, I go full out into let's help this human being up. And then all of a sudden, bam, 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 bam on the door. And I don't even blink. It's Sheriff's Department, open the door. And she starts panicking like now I know she's pretend panicking. She goes, the first thing she does is goes to the tray in the bed and does something that no coke addict I've ever seen do, which is spray the cocaine around the room.
No,
exactly. If you think you're in the middle of a bus, what do you do with the coke?
It's going back in the bag, or yeah.
You ingest it.
You might flush it. You might ingest it. You might put it.
Okay, you might flush it, but if you got no time, you just shove it in your mouth. I mean, you take it. It's $500 worth of. I mean, what seems to be there on the tray is probably at least $500 worth of cocaine if it's coke. You put that shit in your body, man. I mean, you didn't just spend that money for nothing. Anyways, she does this and sprays the coke around the room into the carpet like it was like Arm & Hammer baking soda. And goes to the door and goes, I don't have to open the door if you don't have a warrant. And he goes, open the fucking door. And she opens the door and begins to get into a totally pretend argument with these two sheriff officers, deputies, right? I mean, they don't know what they're supposed to say to each other. And then I'm like, after about 4 or 5 minutes of this, I'm like, well, this is boring. I'm like, I get up to go. I said, hey, officers, nice to see you. Have a nice night. And I go outside and I'm like, huh, where are the fucking sheriff cars? There are no squad cars outside the hotel. I just sat in the middle of a fucking prostitution sting last night.
And they had to come break it up because you bored them to death.
I was
Right.
boring them
You're the
so
worst.
badly.
They were afraid to put you in the squad car for fear you'd question their life choices.
Yeah, exactly. I would have Dewey Decimaled them to death. This was from a dating site. Like it was a
That's right.
total entrapment. I'm just
So
an
she
innocent
reached out
dude.
to you, not the other way around.
Exactly. It was 100%
Oh
entrapment.
my God. So she reached out to you, lured you to the no-tell motel, tried to coke you up.
Let's not forget she was hot.
Yeah, she was
This is
hot.
a key fact for men.
I'm
to hear.
sorry, but if they
That
look like me,
adds
the
to the
guy's
entrapment.
running.
Not necessarily.
I'm sorry. I look like a prison matron, okay?
Yeah, there's something.
I mean, I hate to harken back to our days in Leavenworth.
Where I did play the prison matron. Admit it, you liked it.
What's really funny though is I totally walked right through the dragon fire of a prostitution sting. It's
That's
just the
great.
funniest. I mean, tell me that's not worth us. That's listen. I know we're off topic. This is the hate napkin, so whatever. Okay, I hate prostitution stinks. That's on the hate napkin. And now that I look back on it, like 2 minutes into the thing, she's like, "How come he hasn't thrown $300 on the table and asked me for a rim job?" Well, he wouldn't do coke. He wouldn't. He didn't want a rim job. What the fuck is his problem? He's trying to send her to college.
Like, and just going after low ends, like even giving the opportunity for someone to do something they've never done before. It's just low ends. You're not tackling the big problem because they don't want to tackle the big problem.
Right.
They don't want to go after the
I mean,
dealers.
let's be frank. You're putting free cocaine into, and it probably actually was coke because you're not going to have somebody snort baking soda.
It's crazy.
You know, I mean, they probably grabbed that stash from whatever, you know. It probably was actually coke. I mean, but it's so ostentatious. There's a credit card sitting on a tray with powder.
No rolled up dollar bill, amateurs.
Exactly. That was the only thing missing was the rolled up dollar bill.
But my immediate thought when you said there was a visa there, like I would have obviously rejected the drugs, but I would have tried to get the name off the Visa card. Just got to be like, I hate drugs so much, and I hate credit cards. The fees on these things, outrageous. Then you get the name.
APR,
Yeah,
please.
you know they charge sometimes 30% APR.
17.5%.
And for the first time in their lives, those cops went home, watched those cop shows that get them all hard. Right. And they looked at their wives and said, that shit.
It was so cliche and stereotyping that, it was dime store. It was dime novel copying at its worst. And I'm just sitting there going, well, you're not too old to go into college. All right. That's my hate napkin. Who's got something? Are we out of time?
Oh, come on. How can anybody top this?
I think we'll have to go to episode 23 to find out.
I think we
got
will.
3 minutes.
So, by the way, I forgot to totally mention we're sponsored by Regal Prints. That's www. Forget the W's, regalprints.com for all of your advertising and signage needs in the media in Columbia, South Carolina. And who knows, maybe you ought to let people know about your local prostitution coke sting ring. I'm sure the folks that made our signs can make one for you. I hope the cops are paying attention. Send us your hate to info@thehatenapkin.com. Again, we've got social media presences on the Book of Face, Instagram, and the Twatter. Coming to a conclusion, folks, you have just traveled down the annals of hate.